I became a teacher because I wanted to serve. And I sought out a teacher prep program that would help me think about teaching in an urban setting. And I looked only and applied only at schools in the central area neighborhood in Seattle Public Schools. I felt really, really committed and passionate to that. But I realized quite quickly that my best intentions to go in and serve in some way actually positioned me in a really different place than I wanted to be. So I was teaching 3rd grade, and I thought that my students needed me. And I thought that my students needed me to save them. And I needed to think really, really differently about that. And my principal really pushed me, thank goodness, as did my colleagues, to recognize that by me going in thinking that I could save and serve with, again, the best intentions, I was putting myself here, and I was positioning my students and their families and the expertise and the cultural and lived experiences that they had in a really different place. So it made my first year incredibly difficult, which is already hard enough because I was thinking about me. So I was not thinking about knowing who my students were and learning from them and learning about who they were. I knew what I needed to teach them in 3rd grade, but I didn't know who they were. And if I didn't know those two things, it's kind of hard to bring them, this is hard to do with the microphone, it's hard to bring them together in some way. So now I get to work at the University of Washington and direct some of our teacher education programs and push and use my own experience to really think differently about how we're training and supporting teachers. I would not want anyone to have the same kinds of experiences that I had and not honor and recognize the expertise and the knowledge that our students are bringing to the classroom every single day, knowing who they are. So up here in this picture, we have one of our current elementary teacher candidates. And a tenet, a huge part of our program, is to think about how do we help novices learn about who their students are, to know them really intimately and deeply as much as possible, to recognize that they are bringing a wealth of knowledge with them, that when you ask them how do they solve a math problem, it's likely they know different ways than we do. When you ask them to make sense of a text, they're using their own experiences to make sense of it. And what can we learn from that? And if I know the content, again, that I need to teach, and I know them, I can make better connections, and I can put them into my planning so that I'm able to be strategic about that. So, in our programs, we're thinking carefully about opportunities where our candidates get to know and learn about their students. We have them follow students throughout the day because guess what? A student is different in literacy than they are in math, than they are in PE, than they are at recess. And we're not even knowing what it is that they're thinking about and interested and intrigued in when they're at home. So how do we know students and then use that to strategically plan? How do we also think about recognizing the expertise that our mentors and our partner schools are bringing to us? Positioning our mentor teachers as teacher educators alongside the rest of us. It's not the University of Washington coming in. It's working in partnership with a school to create and try to support and foster teachers who are ready to be out there into the world and to really learn from the communities, to go on community walks, to go to every and all PTA event that there is, right? And I think another key piece, when I think about seeing the way that our candidates are engaged with, talking and learning from their students, is for us as teacher educators to be doing the same kinds of work for our students who are now teacher candidates. I don't teach 3rd grade anymore, but I'm still a teacher. And so how do I make sure that I know who my students are, so that I value their expertise, the knowledge that they're bringing, the lived experiences that they're bringing, because that's only going to better and strengthen our community and our partnership. And think differently about the way that I teach them.